Recording in progress.
Lee, are we getting feedback? Never heard that one. She fixed it? Okay.
Hey, can you call the roll call and announce the presence of a quorum, please? Pledge of allegiance first.
It's not a hard as that, actually.
I thought you were having an issue right there. I was like, what happened to you? Please face the flag and repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get started, if we could take a moment of silence, always keep our troops in your thoughts and prayers, and also pray for the losing team, Argentina, and the victorious Spain. So anyway, a couple minutes here.
I could add to your intentions. We learned today, sadly, that Councilmember Albritton's aunt passed away.
Oh, please, keep
Yeah, I appreciate your intentions.
Thank you. Okay, so now we can call roll.
Albritton,
Present.
Kaplan,
Here.
Cates, Bardino, Burr,
Here.
Geller,
Here.
Gilbert, Goldberg, Kaufman, Lincoln,
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning.
Morning.
McGee, Rodriguez, Udine, Gwynn,
Here.
Lusace, Stillavoy,
Here.
Garcia.
Present. Okay, before we get started, I want to welcome Viviana Lusace.
Yes.
I got it. I'm director for the Florida DEP Southeast Direct Office and District Office in West Palm Beach. She replaces Sierra Davida, former district director for the Florida DEP District Office in West Palm Beach. We thank you, we welcome you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's go into action items here.
For the record, Mr. Chair, you do have a quorum for the executive committee, and as members arrive in physical presence, they would then be added to the executive committee and perhaps even have a full quorum. Legal business can be conducted and can be presented as prescribed in the agenda.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Sam. Appreciate that. Isabel, where do we go to?
We're gonna go, members, to action items 3 to the minutes.
All right, move approval. Second. For the motion in seconds, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like signs. Motion is adopted. Financial reports deal. Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday for those that are not Argentinians. And congratulations to Spain on their newly acquired start. Well deserved. So going to our financials, let's go to page 1. We'll see that to start with, all funds are balanced as usual. The general fund remains unmodified for this month. Federal, state, and local funds decreased their assets in $41,594. Revolving loan funds increased their assets in $10,547. And the Prosperity Institute increased the assets in $110. We go to page 2, we'll see that we're at 75% of the fiscal year elapsed. Collections are up high at 93%. That's due to the collections during the month of June for federal programs. And expenses are as low as 57% at 75% of the year elapsed. So thanks to our team, we're doing a great job containing the expenses. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Members, any questions? If there are no questions, I'll move approval, but that's any questions.
A second. Motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, see the motion adopted. Now we are, is it on the consent? Thank you very much, Ren, I appreciate you. Christina?
Well, Sam will read, Sam will read them out. Christina is available, of course, to answer any questions we may have on any item.
Okay.
Chair, if you will, there are two sets of approval today, one of which relates to the proposed comp plan amendments, on which will follow, and also later be adopted. For the record, they are as follows: for those members of the public who came today to visit with the council and to speak for or against any of the items before the council regarding the comp plan amendments from city staff or otherwise, you have a legal right to do so through the chair. First of which is the Broward County Plan 26-05 ESR, another Broward County item 26-07 ESR, Miami-Dade County 26-01 ESR, followed by Miami-Dade County 26-02 ESR, the City of Doral 26-02 ESR, Isla Mirada, the Village of Islands 26-02 ACSC. Next up, the City of North Miami at 26-01 ESR. Next up beyond that is the City of North Miami Beach 26-01 ER, followed by the City of North Miami Beach number 26-02 ESR. And last but not least, the City of Wilton Manors 26-01 ER. These are all on the proposed side, being transmitted under Chapter 163 to this council for review. Public hearing for any and all, as the case may be, but the public has a right to be heard for or against, as I said earlier. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And so we'll go ahead and open up public hearing. Is anyone here to testify at any of these items? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public hearing.
Move approval.
Move approval, is a motion.
Sure,
Second,
I just mentioned, Councilmember Rodriguez has joined us.
Councilman, this note for the record that Councilman Rodriguez has joined us. There is a motion and a second for approval. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion is adopted. Sam?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and followed by the approved items. These are not the exact same ones, but for the record, they are also treated the same way legally. Members of the public who are here today to speak for or against these applications have a legal right to do so through council or otherwise, and those online as well who are present for that purpose. For public hearing purposes, the first item is Broward County 26-02 ESR, Broward County 26-03 ESR, the town of Davie 26-01 ESR, the city of Fort Lauderdale 26-02 ESR. On the second page, the city of Hollywood 26-01 ESR, city of Lauderhill 25-01 ESR, the city of Marathon 26-01 ACSC, the city of Miami Beach 26-01 ER, and last but not least, the town of Southwest Ranches. And for the record, Commissioner Albritton is legally permitted to vote on this item. This is a matter of discussion. He's a separate free dealer legally in the context of his role both as a council member here, a separate legal body, and his vote count that would occur, if it did at all, on the council seat in the town. Thank you, Mr. Chair. There you go.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and open up the public hearing again. Anyone from the public interested in testifying on any of these items? Seeing none, are those in media world? Nope, okay. Public hearing is closed. Motion to adopt. And a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. And the motion is adopted.
And now we go to 3F, council members, because our, Ms. Chambers Nicholas is going to give a presentation, but that's in a few minutes. So we should try to get into some of our action items.
Might as well.
So,
Sam?
yes, so 3F, so, council members, with this year's audit, this concludes, the current contract that we have with S. David and Associates. They've been great auditors for us, actually for 10 years now. And, so, we believe it's time to go ahead and go through the process of putting out a request for proposal for audit and see where it comes back to us. So this item 3F asks that you please, first of all, I should say I attached the.
I didn't see the attachment. I was looking
No.
for it.
I have four of them printed
Yeah,
because they
yeah,
were so lengthy.
But there was Florida statute that was part of this, so I guess it was a misunderstanding in terms of attachments. I thought, anyway, but the RFP, I think it's about 30 pages long. So the council members can have an opportunity to review it. If you haven't, we didn't print them out because they were so lengthy, but there's a couple of copies if you'd like to look at it. There is a timeline that is on the back of this. So we're anticipating issuing an RFP on Wednesday, this Wednesday, and being available to answer questions that anybody might have regarding the RFP, asking for submittal, then having a bid opening. Our hope is to get everything done before our council meeting in September. So, again, we can run off extra copies right now for anybody who would like to have them. They're in the meeting package that was mailed to everyone. So those online, if they want to look at it, they can. But what we need to do for the statute specifies, we need to have at least 3 members on a committee, a selection negotiation committee. I'm asking for 5, just to make sure that we always have at least 3. I don't know, Sam, if there's anything you need to add for the chair on the council.
Just a couple of observations under the statute. This is not a new process for you all. This has been done before. That's how you got to your current CPAs. Same process was employed. The statute was adopted some number of years ago. It does require that you go through this particular process to get to the answer. It not only applies to cities, counties, districts, and agencies such as ours. There's nothing in the statute that precludes, this is just for public record, hiring the same firm you have. And there's no time limitation how long the contract can run. There are certain policies and procedures that some government agencies have regarding the length of their auditing firm's engagement. It's not the case here. There's no such rule in the statement of organization. There's no policy that I'm aware of that I can point to give you that answer. So the process would be to appoint the committee today and authorize the RFP and begin the process to go forward.
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Questions? Okay, Mr. Florian, I have 2 questions. Number 1, have you reviewed the RFP and does it meet all legal requirements?
First answer is yes, and the second answer is yes. I've read the document. It's not inconsistent with prior behavior on the council's part. Meets the criteria of the statute and is legally sufficient on which to proceed.
I did have an additional question. The time that it says it's being issued and it's being the response date, I don't think works. Unless this has already been issued, the response is due. It says it's being issued. What day this is?
It'll be issued on Wednesday.
Okay, so in that case,
The response is August 26th.
So that is ample time then.
It's the one we've used in the
Right,
past.
okay, if it'll be issued this Wednesday, there would be ample time.
Presumably you'll probably vote today.
Right, the remaining question that I have, and let me preface this by saying I've been, and I was chair for 3 years, 3.5 years during this auditor. I've always found them to be excellent auditors. However, I know at Broward County, the issue has repeatedly come up on changing auditors every 5 to 10 years. I assume that same issue has come up in Dade. Are there, although there is no statutory rule on this, is there a policy of whatever the American Association of Auditors or whatever it's called? If there are policies, and I know that you represent, your law firm represents basically about 45 of the 31 municipalities in Broward. Is it common at other government entities to have policies changing auditors every 5 to 10 years? Again, I want to repeat, I've been very satisfied with the work we've had, but if there is a general government policy on changing auditors, then something we should at least discuss.
May I respond, Mr. Chair? It's a mixed bag, frankly. The conversation you're having with your colleagues is not an uncommon conversation to have. It's happened in this room in the past. In fact, you were a leader in that conversation specifically. And the recommendation, as opposed to 3 years, 5 years was the time. Contract was a 5-year contract with no renewal provision. Thinking through the box, suggesting in the future to reopen the conversation as you are today. So it's kind of a mixed bag of information. I know that there's a certain comfort level that's achieved by having an auditor in place longer than 3 years or 5 years. But I do know that under the rules, regulations, policies, and guidelines that affect the professional designation of your CPAs, independent of what you think, they have an independent obligation to perform their duties, which are separate from your notion that maybe 5 years may be too long or too little. So whomever you select is someone that has to still follow the rules to get to the answer. So there's no bar in the statute, which we looked at again this past week, and there's no bar with regard to that engagement.
Just
to follow up on that again, is there I don't know who the regulatory agency of the auditors is, but is there a suggested policy on limiting it to 510, or I plead without knowledge.
Yes.
I'm asking not for argumentative
No, I
purposes,
understand.
but to obtain information.
Yes.
Sir? I think the answer is we don't know.
That's correct. I mean, I don't have an answer as to what entity would otherwise regulate. I mean, they are CPAs. There are organizational obligations that all they're professionally licensed in the state of Florida. Without looking into the issue specifically of that issue, I know from my own experience that, again, it's a mixture of things, but it's not untypical to provide longer term contracts to the auditors that you have a relationship with.
And I appreciate you prefaced that saying that they've done a good job. It's not about this, just a matter of policy for us and moving forward. So I appreciate that. So I think, but with the RFP that we have here, I think we can go move forward with it, and then they can reapply, and we'll try to get the best bang for our buck too. So I think it's important for us to go ahead and do that.
Chair.
Because
So thank you, Chair. So basically there is, when I went to the Auditor General's website, which is for the state, there is no requirement they would change every 5 to 10 years. It really is a matter of the council if it wants to go through that process, get new bids. I will say, from a staff perspective, it's helpful to have an auditor that's familiar already with your process and
Right.
over many years from a staff perspective. But again, there's different reasons that are valid reasons for one the board might want to throw the net out there and see who applies, but you don't have to. It's really up to you all.
All right, so there's a motion. Is there a motion before us?
Move approval.
Move approval. Senator Gardner moves approval. Is there a second?
And
Second.
additional
That's a
discussion.
second.
You know what happened?
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
those like sign.
And we need to appoint 5 people.
committee.
I don't-
I'll get the committee. You can put yourself on the committee.
Okay, so we need 5 members. I don't know what happened to this item. It's missing a page on this thing.
Well, there's not just the World Cup has ended and I've got plenty
I hope
of free
so.
time. I'll.
Okay, so Mr. Kaplan, Mr. Garcia,
Senator Geller, because he's gonna.
Senator Weller is gonna hang out with you.
That is the best reason.
I don't know if any council members. We need 2 more, I'm just saying. I don't know if any council members online want to be part of this process. If so, please. Say
Sorry,
so.
what was that you said, Jim?
Jim's on it.
Oh, I just heard Jim volunteer.
I can also participate.
Thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez. Any more without being voluntold?
That's fine.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Are you you're accepting your voluntold?
I'll get even.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's had too many boards.
I think it'll be a quick process. Well, thank you with that item.
What are the rules of the meeting? Do we meet in person, or can it be
It has to be a public meeting.
a public meeting?
Yes, interviews are public.
But I think we only need like 2 people in the room and the committee's 5.
We'll work through the details of a forum.
Yeah, perfect.
As if and when they arrive.
Very good.
Okay, and thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez.
All right.
Okay, with that, it takes us, I think, time to get to the amended budget. Mr. Chair.
Number G, let's go. Leo,
Hello.
Thank you for the pictures.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoyed them.
That's Leo again. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning, Leo.
So, please find here with the amended operating budget for fiscal year 25-26, just for your review and approval. The amendment aligns with budget adopted in September 2025, with executed grant agreements, actual program activity, and current staffing needs. Total revenues decreased in $305,000 from $3,989,000 to $3,604,000. Same happened with the expenditures. We adjusted them so that we can also, and once again, balance our budget. So this is related to programs, timing, and different contracts that have been executed throughout the year. I need to be added to the budget. So if you have any questions related to that, please let me know. I'm more than happy to go over the budget.
Any
Yeah.
questions? Oh, okay. You have no questions? All right, okay. Do we need to adopt this?
Need approval.
I'll make a motion in a second for approval of the amended budget. Amended budget, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, see the motion adopted. Now, Judy, you want to do it?
I think if you just go ahead, it's time approximate. So we can.
Time approximate.
That's it. I learned that from council member Chair
That is
Lincoln.
funny.
Yeah, Chair Lincoln taught me that, but time approximate.
Approximate, okay.
So thank you, Chair Lincoln. So.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that way it gives you wiggle.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. It's there. I like
Yeah, it gives you wiggle.
I like it too.
It's a best practice courtesy of Councilmember Lincoln.
Good morning.
Morning, Jordan.
S. Davis and Associates. Partners are Sandy Davis
It's the
and
wrong presentation. There we go.
Dawn Davis. I'm here to present the audit results for the financial year 2025. So the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2025. From the executive summary results, the financial statements, we present an unmodified opinion, and that's the cleanest opinion one could have in an audit. So thanks to all the management staff, Leo, Jeff, Kelly, Steve, all of you for the fine work you have done for the audit year 2025. And also to know that they've been here for the past decade that we've served, so. Also, no material weakness noted or internal control for over financial reporting. No instance of non-compliance or other matters requiring reporting for government auditing standard. The single audit of federal grant programs, we had an unmodified opinion on compliance of each major program. No material weakness noted in internal control over compliance. And this is result of chapter 10.550, the rules of the Auditor General. No matters of negative impact to report. And also for section 218, 415 of Florida statutes on investment policy, the council is in compliance. For the scope of examination, the audit of the financial statements are in accordance with the generally accepted auditing standards of the government auditing standards and the provisions of chapter 10.55 of the rules of the Auditor General of the state of Florida. The single audit is in accordance with the uniform guidance. All right, on to the next slide. The fund financial statements. We use the modified accrual basis as well as the government-wide full accrual basis to present the financial statements. The balance sheet, the total net assets, total $14.3 million, total liabilities, $309,000, and your fund balance, which consisted of restriction revolving loan program of $11.05 million and the unassigned $2.9 million of unrestricted net assets. And the unassigned, it means that you can use it for whatever items you so desire.
Is that part of the revolving loan program?
The unrestricted, no,
The unsigned.
no. The restricted loan program, all funds are restricted
Okay,
and assigned.
what is the unsigned?
I think it's general fund or something?
Inside of general fund.
General fund, right?
Alright, so that's a part of the other federal programs, state grants, and all of those that they council participate in, as well as your membership dues. So all of those contribute to your unassigned. Statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. The total revenues were 3.9, almost 4 million. The total expenditures, 3.126, and other financing sources, 1,000, which resulted in an excess of revenues and other financial sources over expenditures of $8.17 million. And that was an increase from last year. Significant increase. Okay. So more of the same for the government wide. We're seeing a total assets and deferred outflows of 15.17 million, and this includes your cash, your investments, and your loans receivables. Your total liabilities and deferred outflows of 1.436, which includes your accounts payables, your net pension liability, and your HIS liabilities. Your net position, net investment in capital assets, that's 40,000. That's your fixed assets, your infrastructure, the things that you work with on a daily basis. Your restricted funds for loan program, 11 million, and your unrestricted of 2.6, which saw an increase of $522,000. The statement of activities, your total revenues of 3.9 million, as mentioned before, that was an increase of 455,000, and it consists of membership dues, federal and state grant programs. Your total expenditures of 3.2 million, so a reduction of 390,000 over last year. And this mainly as a result of your allowance. And so your net change, your overall change in net position is 705,000. And for our last slide, we have the audit under uniform guidance. The total expenditure was 6.7 million. Or 6.8 million. And we reviewed the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Cluster, which involves your revolving loan funds, and that's $6.134 million. And for this, you are a low-risk auditee, and you have maintained that status going into 2026 because your data collection form was submitted on time. So thank you for your time. Thank you for serving the council for the past 10 years. Definitely appreciate it. One of my most appreciated clients.
Joy, thank you so very much, and I appreciate that presentation. And I just want to thank the team for making sure that everything is on the up and up. Takes a lot of work, and I think everyone I speak for behalf of the council, thank you very much for the work and making sure that we stay honest and truthful and transparent with these public dollars. So as well.
Yes, Chairman Garcia, and thank you so much, and thank you to Tanya. I recall that last year, Councilmember Udine, who's not able to join us today, asked if he asked us actually all staff to leave the room so you could ask if there was anything she wanted to say that she couldn't. I just say it out of courtesy that that's what we did last year. If you want, we can do it again.
Yeah, get out.
Get out, get out. I don't think she's gonna say anything bad, but I just want to just.
So you know she's not gonna say anything back. We pay her.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's part.
Okay. No, I don't think there's anything bad to say, but I just wanted, out of respect for Councilmember Udine's not here, he did ask for.
So I feel comfortable. Is there?
Was there anything that we should know that about staff that you didn't tell us yet?
Not at all.
Sweet as faith.
I did have one
Yes,
question.
please.
I don't know whether this is for Leo or for the auditor. I didn't see this. In terms of reserves, is that I just want to know what we have for in reserve in case there's some.
We have a
Bring that
little
number.
bit. We used to have $10,000 when I started,
Right.
but
Which would-
with
we didn't
staff's
do.
work and Leo's work, I think we're upwards.
500.
We're slowly
Plus
but surely
thousand.
building a $1 million reserve fund. We're
Wow.
getting there.
But it's, it's taken more than 5 years.
What is it about now?
I think we're roughly at 800,000 or
Great.
such.
That's
I did-
perfect.
With one, if there was any
There-
emergency, I wanted to make sure that we're
There was
reserved.
something like $10,596.25. I became director for fairly tiny.
Are you trying to get,
I didn't know whether that was a him question.
Right.
So-
Definitely years, because from the audit perspective, it was 500 plus thousand, so it has grown since the audit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Right,
guys,
a
on
different
this-
year.
I was gonna say, is there a certain percentage you wanna get for, reserves?
Well, what we're trying to do is cover at least up to the part of our budget that is not covered by the dues. Just in case, anything happens, and now with all the, I don't know if I can say this now, but, the ballot that is coming up.
Right.
You can say the ballot initiative, yes, I could.
We're trying to build a rainy day fund for that purpose.
Reflex.
I know for the county budget, we try to get around 17%. I don't know if we try to do the same thing here.
Well, we could try.
Well, I think it's
it's
standard.
Yes, well, I know that when Carolyn was director, pardon me through the chair. I know that when Carolyn was director, there was a higher reserve, but remember then there was the Great Recession, there was all sorts of
Right.
different things, and then we were on furlough for many months on a 4-day-a-week schedule. So I know there were financial times hardships, and I imagine the reserves went away then, but there were no reserves really when I started.
Well, I thank you, Isabel, for that.
They are currently above the 70% that
Oh,
you
yeah.
So,
mentioned.
yes, and our target is
Right.
80% of our budget, just to.
80%
80% of our budget.
for reserve?
Or non-dues.
Of
budget.
our uncovered budget.
Okay.
Covered budget.
Okay,
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you for the conversations, and again, thank you to
Thank you
the
very
team,
much.
and I do appreciate
Thank you.
the amount of money we've been able to put in reserve, so that's always important, because one thing is for certain, rainy days will come, and we gotta be ready for that, so.
That's true. It is.
Happy Pardon me.
That's not what
Oh, because he's just there, yeah, because he comes right after Joy. Joy, thanks.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you, Joy, appreciate it.
Sir.
Thank you. Captain Rich Miller, how are you?
Good, sir.
Council member, I draw your attention to the bios in your packets. So you may remember, Captain Rich Miller from when we began the South Florida Military Installation Resilience Review, that he came to us, through then Mayor Greg Ross, introduced us and got us very much involved in all things military and defense. So we've continued that on with Rick's partnership. So he's the executive director of the South Florida Defense Alliance. And again, his bios in your pack.
Captain.
Thanks as well, Senator. Thank you. So since there's been a few references to the World Cup here this morning, I just want to say, in the sense of, equitable victory, my 16-year-old had a real challenge yesterday. So his family Spanish through Cuba, family lineage was definitely rooting for Team España, but he's also a Messi fan, and we attended an Argentinian game in the World Cup earlier. And so as I took him to his friend's watch party, I noticed that he had on his Argentina Messi jersey underneath with the Spanish jersey over top.
So you could just go either
And he
way.
was prepared for either victory, no matter how.
That's awesome.
So thank you for the invitation to address the council and the board this morning. It's actually, I think, a pretty good news story. Haley, you go to the first or next slide. So my background, in addition to being operational, seagoing Navy sailor for many years, I spent too many years in the Pentagon chasing programs, dollars, and budgets around the five-sided funny farm and Capitol Hill and the White House. But in the process of doing that and publishing several things, developed some level of expertise in defense economics and budgeting and programming and such. Some of you may be familiar in the pictures there of the last few. Every 2 years, the state of Florida has done a defense economic impact study on the entire state. And so the next 2-year iteration, they put out an RFP earlier this year for that. I decided to build kind of a dream team out of our Defense Alliance, some senior retired military folks that collaborate with me. Also some economic study design expertise from FIU. And then for this body, most importantly, a real strong analytic approach and team led by Randy DeShazo and the Regional Planning Council team. And lo and behold, that teaming effort was selected and won the contract from the state. So it's been announced. We don't have the signed contract yet. We're still back and forth to get it resolved. But you can see there the key, half a dozen or so items that Randy and the team here will be contributing into that new statewide analysis. Now, those, yes, Simon. Oh, thank you.
Right, great for applause.
Those studies,
That's really important.
and one of the reasons I went after it was they tend to be retrospective looks. And so because of the myriad of federal and state databases we're drawing data from, you generally have to go back 2 years before you can get one complete fiscal year data set. So any cover date you see, a 2022 study is actually FY20 data and so on. But all that said, I've always felt that there are other metrics and more advanced analyses that we could do that would actually help counties and economic development organizations and other groups be more thoughtful about planning how to grow their defense economies and what opportunities exist to go after, and also what risks are there to the defense economies they have. And so if you go to the next slide, the Florida Defense Support Commission and Florida Commerce Military and Defense Office just recently advertised this upcoming year's grant cycle. And in the process of prepping to do the current study that we won, Randy and I have been informally collaborating on what those advanced analytics could and should be that would really help advance the state in this regard. And so I have submitted a grant application to the commission with, again, Randy and the Regional Council team partnership as the strong analytic arm to do a pilot study that will look at 6 diverse counties around the state that are both geographically diverse, but also their micro defense economies are very unique and distinctly different, depending on what the focus is, as well as the lead kind of service that's putting the spending and interest into there. And so this is a pending award. I think the commission is meeting early next month in August to select the grants they're going to award, but they generally do that selection and award process pretty quickly. So I'm anticipating we'll know in August whether or not we get this contract. Now, you see the 7 counties on there, and there's some rationale for it. Miami-Dade being one of them because it's a very small installations, but very diverse defense activities across the county, as well as a heavy Coast Guard presence. Now, for our Broward and Monroe friends, don't despair, because I have one more opportunity that we're pursuing that actually is a direct benefit to Broward, and hopefully will lead that way for all of Southeast Florida. But this one I'm excited about because if the state awards this, this is really a chance to advance future statewide every 2-year studies into not just being retroactive, but being forward-looking and proactive of how we grow defense in Florida. Next
So
slide.
Rick, so you're saying that the subsequent application will bring in like the ocean measurement facility in Dana Beach and Naval Air Station Key West, do you think?
Well, they're already in the
The
existing,
big one,
they're already in the existing big study, but
this is the pilot.
yeah, this is a pilot for what are the advanced analytics that we need to consider that help counties and economic development organizations thoughtfully plan and grow defense economy, not just play whack-a-mole and sort of let it happen as it happens, and really strategically go after defense growth. For those of you that don't know, defense from a money standpoint is the number 2 economic sector in the state of Florida. And it's within a few dollars, almost equal to tourism. Tourism generates more jobs, but lower wage jobs. Defense jobs tend to be much higher wage and more resilient. So it is a fantastic segment of our economy. It was the great stabilizer in Florida's economy when the pandemic killed tourism and ag and other things. And so it is a vibrant sector that we ought to be more robustly going after and growing, which is why I'm trying to help the state drive the focus there. And this just some samples that we've played with, that would really begin to look at things like where are we drawing dollars in, capture in Florida? Where do we have current leakage of defense dollars out of Florida? And what are some of those concentration risks and other underlying factors that enable different counties, different regions in the state to go after different segments of defense? Because when you say defense, some people think it's ubiquitous. It's actually about every diverse function under the sun. And some counties are better aligned for certain segments of it than others. And so this study will define what those common parameters are that work across 67 counties, as well as what are the micro factors that Broward would need uniquely different than Monroe or Miami-Dade or Brevard or Duval or Hillsborough or, name another county. So that's
on that, is there a, to get to that dashboard, do you have the URL?
no, those are just samples right now.
Oh,
That
you wanted.
yeah, I mean, they're real samples, but they're not live dashboards yet.
Okay.
The grant will do the pilot on the 7 proposed unique counties, develop proposed dashboards that match those unique counties. And then the hope is that the next 2-year full statewide study will adopt the new methodology into the advanced look. Okay, shifting gears for a minute. The maritime industry has been receiving tremendous additional focus and attention from the current administration. And the state has picked up on that theme and is also doing things to advance the maritime industry. In a nutshell, Navy background. Navy has, and our national industrial base has fallen woefully behind our ability to compete in shipbuilding and keep pace with particularly, one competitor over on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. And so that coupled with some of the learnings from the fight in Ukraine and other things, we see the need to revitalize the shipbuilding industrial base across the country and also develop a fleet that is a more mixed fleet of, yes, the high-end carriers, cruisers, submarines, and those type of ships, but also, I'll say, smaller and autonomous and unmanned vessels, both surface and subsurface, as well as aerial, that can do certain things. And so there's been a whole host of documents and budget support out of this administration to try and advance that. Next slide, please. At the state level, Florida has picked up on it and designated formally the maritime segment as one of the half dozen or so target industries in Florida. Florida Commerce and Secretary Kelly have been actively engaged with the Defense Industrial Base Institute, who we're also working with out of Northeastern University, to prepare for what the federal government has announced, what they're going to call maritime prosperity zones. Think of these as somewhat analogous to the opportunity zone type incentives, but focused around maritime industry and maritime development. And so they are, going after that. I've personally, Navy guy, shipbuilding background, shipbuilding budget experience, and a lot of shipyard experience. I think I have a pretty good understanding of, the infrastructure we have in Florida and what is potentially possible. And my supposition is that Southeast Florida, we have a 6-county spine from roughly St. Lucie down to Monroe that is uniquely positioned, if primed correctly, to be a build to print licensed production scaling capacity for small unmanned surface and subsurface vehicles. And we could do that here. If today they're building 50 and tomorrow they need 5,000, we could be a significant contributor to the national output to get there. But we got to do some things to align our region and make sure that we're.
Has he been invited to our blue economy?
We need to make sure that he's part of our blue tech.
Are you aware of what we're?
Yes, sir. And I was going to say that I thank you for your leadership on pushing blue economy in Broward, which leads me to the last bullet here. And I mentioned those open grant opportunities. Next slide. One of the other grants, the Defense Reinvestment Grant, which focuses on repositioning economies for new defense opportunities. We have specifically because of Broward's blue economy work and Randy's support, partnered up again with the regional council, but this time worked with Bob Swindell and David Coddington and the team at Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance. They're actually the lead applicant. We're the two supporting teams to do a deep dive analysis on Broward County as a pilot for the state on how we really go after robust dual use maritime industrial growth. And we'll do that. There's a program that we've been building in the Defense Alliance that we've called it Project Ocean Arsenal, but it's really designed to look at, what maritime capabilities you have, what can be reasonably scaled or created, and what is the readiness of your existing industrial footprint to be either a tier 1, hull builder or tier 2, tier 3 subcontractor vendor suppliers. And so this study would develop that. Next slide. It would create that very detailed vendor mapping and also a vendor readiness process, so we understand what their capabilities are and what help they might need to then, be defense production ready. We've created a 5-layer assessment model that essentially kind of takes you logically from, what's your existing maritime capacity, what's your potential for growth. 3rd layer looks at what are the potential accelerants or constraints on that growth. And then the final 2 layers are what we call the maritime prosperity zone, linking back to the federal program. Geographically, what areas have the best kind of footprint characteristics to qualify. And then, if the demand signals applied, right, now getting back into Randy's world again and modeling different scenarios. Okay, if this much demand signal came in, what would that mean for economic growth and job growth in Broward County, right? And so the goal of this is a final report, but a county by county replication capability. And again, my initiative is to push hard for a 6-county Southeast Florida spine where, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade are probably, the core of it from a production capacity standpoint. St. Lucie and Martin do have some, but also Monroe has some capability, and also Monroe has great test and operating range facilities for operational demonstrations, test and evaluation, and those things. And so again, that 6-county linkage, I think my goal is to get away from opportunity zones, focusing in on narrow census tracts, and say you need to think of a maritime opportunity zone to scale unmanned ship production for the Navy as a 6-county region in Southeast Florida. I think that's my last slide. Oh, yeah, these were just kind of walking through some of the layers of the design of the analysis. Senator.
Question, if you're
Yes, sir.
working on Sixth County, have you also been working with the DCRPC, Treasure Coast Regional Plan, because they have 3 of the 6 counties?
Have not directly connected with them yet. That'll be part of the intent of the grant, if awarded, will be in the final stages of that. The, you know, how do we begin the outreach
Part of the work
to
program.
the other counties and make it a statewide replicable model.
Any questions, members? Captain, thank you so much for this great presentation. Well, you know, this whole maritime opportunities, and I think we can create a lot of jobs. So I think it's great and I appreciate it. Look forward to it. So you're waiting to see if you get the grant?
Well, we have the
the
one award and we have the 2 other grant applications submitted pending award. We're waiting to see. And the other thing I want to bring up on the small craft production, this doesn't necessarily mean industry growth has to be waterfront, right? Because some of these size and types of vessels and systems can be built in warehouse and industrial facilities that are inland. They're trailerable in many cases. So this is not a, you know, well, I'm limited, I only have so much waterfront space left. This also, in some of these layers, talk about looking at inland industrial footprints that can also play in this. And we've kind of tentatively looked at that at Broward. There's 3 or 4. In addition to 2 or 3 along the waterfront, there's 2 or 3 more inland that definitely play. And it touches work. I mean, you skim through here and see some of the categories that each of these layers analyzes, but they're pretty robust look at different segments of the economy and workforce in a locale.
So different.
Yes, sir.
One other question, which is not directly related, but based on your background, I wanted to ask because I don't know who else to ask. Why is America? It seems like America is just incapable of keeping pace. That our shipbuilding is dramatically slower and dramatically more expensive than competing countries. Do you know why, or is it?
There's actually a lot of reasons why.
That's a whole presentation.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
That's a whole topic I could come back and spend hours on. But I'll just say there were some industrial and higher government decisions made back in the 60s and 70s that began the gradual decline of just commercial shipbuilding and shipbuilding in general in the United States. It was rapidly accelerated with the fall of the Berlin Wall, the end of the Cold War, and we went down to, essentially we have only 6, 7-ish shipyards in the country that build ships for the Navy. I mean, granted, it was expanded in World War II, but in World War II, we had over 200. And, we were producing, incredible amounts of tonnage. I'll just say there's one shipyard in China that you could take all 6 shipyards in the United States and they would fit inside the footprint of but one shipyard in China. And for every, 1 ton of ship or 1 vessel we can crank out, China can turn out right now about 250 times that amount annually. So it is not a matter, and these are things from both the industrial footprint and the workforce required to do it. They don't just get restarted overnight. They take years to redevelop. And in many cases, that waterfront footprint is now high-rise condominiums or other development. And so we've lost some of that capacity. And I will say, Isabel attended a program
At the Beacon Council, it was mind blowing. Scary. Congressman Jimenez was there too. And Rick gave a presentation with Florida Commerce.
Yeah.
The gentleman from there, and you look at the numbers, it is unbelievable.
and I'll
Someone
just,
you should come and get.
yeah, well, and I'll just say that, the frustrating part, as I highlighted in that conference, was I wrote my first stretch on the Navy staff work in shipbuilding was back in the mid-90s. And I wrote a series of memos because mid-90s, right? Think this is right after, Cold War ends, the Clinton administration is drawing down defense rapidly. And I did some out-year looks and I wrote a series of memos, one of which said in 1995 that in 15 years, essentially the half-life of a ship, so 2010, we would be on track for a steady state Navy size of an average of 287 ships. At that time, the line from the administration, we were over 400, building down to 346 was the advertised number. And I had a nice handwritten note from a very senior officer in the Pentagon that said, "Rick, great analysis, bury this." Coincidentally, in 2010, I was working directly in the front office for the Chief of Naval Operations, and so I was still dealing with shipbuilding issues. And in 2010, our ship count was 288. I missed by one. But from 2002 or 3 to today, our fleet range has been between 275 and 300 ships. Goes up and down a few each year, but I mean, basically constrained in that 25 ship band and having a hard time breaking out of that. Part of it, we built a tremendous number of vessels in the early 80s under the Reagan defense buildup. They're now aging out and having block obsolescence. So we're losing, bunches of them a year, and our production capacity can't even keep up with the rate of retirements, much less grow the force over that limit. So this idea of a mix.
Doesn't matter because we don't have any ammunition for the ships to shoot anyhow.
Well, that's other.
Senator.
Sorry.
But, well, and for those of you that don't know, a 24-foot autonomous vessel called the Corsair, built by a company, Saronic. Two very, just within the last few weeks. So there was an Apache helicopter shot down in the Straits of Hormuz. The unmanned vessel was the first one on scene to pick up the pilots and get them to a manned vessel where they could be further evacuated. And just last week, the exact same platform, 24-foot Corsair, did an unmanned, essentially kamikaze attack into an Iranian submarine in port in the near the Straits of Hormuz, and very, very precise, took out the submarine, the supporting pier facility, and everything with it. So these capabilities, I'm convinced, they're not a panacea, and they're not going to replace the need for big ships, but they're going to provide capacity and capability augmentation that we're going to desperately need, and we're going to need it at a scale that I don't believe the country is ready to go after yet. And we have a 6-county spine that can help meet that demand very quickly if our vendors here are prepped and prepared to be able to do that.
I think it was the first time most Americans had heard of an unmanned boat. When that happened a couple weeks ago.
Ukraine was using that. Ukraine has been using them.
Well, and just to be forward thinking, think of the day Port Everglades when, container ship comes in and it's an unmanned vessel. So there are huge implications for our economy and maritime system beyond just Navy and military applications.
What can we be doing? Obviously, this is re-education and defense is extremely important, not only for the defense of the country, but the economic impact that we can have in our local communities. What should we, as elected officials of this council, should we be doing to encourage vendors to get ready, or what? Is that part of your study, or what can we do?
It is, it's definitely part of this last grant application. And again, one of the prongs in the Ocean Arsenal project is essentially vendor assistance program that, we'll do essentially a baseline intake survey with a boat builder or, yacht yard or something, make an assessment of their current capabilities and, what gaps they would have to be defense production ready. And so, then if they're willing, right, we can partner with them and help them on that path, and even eventually try to pair and match them with existing naval unmanned system builders so that they can become a licensed production facility to support. So I would say number one, yes, absolutely. We get this and we get started, encourage our local marine industry companies and their leaders to turn out and come to the programs that the Fort Lauderdale Alliance and we will be hosting. They can certainly, and I can send you information. We've got a QR code. They can click on that and go take the intake survey and, get started in that regard.
Please do that if you can get that to us, because this is extremely important. And I see it with what's happening with the space industry here in Florida. We have these launches that are going up and we're losing a lot of business to other states, we need to make sure that we capture. He does a lot about that. And capture that business here, and it's not just what, the little bit I know, right? It's not just astronauts and all these high-tech jobs. There's a lot of widgets and a lot of other components that go into the creation of these space launches. So I think it's important for us to try to capture that and.
Well, and then the other thing I think as elected officials, and I'm actually working with some of the municipalities in South Dade right now to, as we were preparing the input for the Opportunity Zone 2.0 inputs back in the spring, we identified a number of census tracts up and down US 1 in South Dade that are adjacent to the area that the state recently designated as spaceport territory. And so we saw that as a real strong kind of pull for aerospace growth and development down there. And there's a lot of people in South Dade that currently commute north for jobs. So there's workforce. We need the jobs local. So now in discussion with the municipalities of Cutler Bay, Homestead, Florida City, and please, this isn't a done deal, so don't think it is, but we're having discussions about each municipality selecting some areas where they can incentivize light industrial manufacturing development through, zoning changes, rapid planning approval, those kind of things. And so each municipality can create their sort of overlay zone. And then the county's looking at how do they overlay that in the gapped areas in South Dade that aren't incorporated, from county level. And then, make a, aerospace, I think we're tentatively calling it an aerospace and, national security manufacturing zone, or some words around that. Right. And so that's an opportunity for local officials to, magnify whatever the federal government does with opportunity zones, maritime prosperity zones, whatever the state puts in for spaceport territories and potential similar type incentives for maritime, and then magnify it at the local level. Because it's when you can stack all those incentives, it becomes really attractive for business to either come here or expand in one of those locations because there's so much benefit for them.
My brief glimpse at the news this morning as I was getting ready to come here suggests to me that they're having the very same conversation at 10 Downing Street today with the brand new prime minister. How to catalyze, especially the maritime industry.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Chairman, I think that you could see just by the amount of conversation here and interest that this is something that, is really important. Your question was excellent. What can we do? I think that, we should hear more about this. Again, although part of this is the blue economy that we're looking at having our
October 30th
meeting in October.
We'll discuss it before then.
Yeah, the blue economy is much bigger. This is a segment within that.
But it's something that we're all interested in because we all know it's necessary for national defense. They're good, high-paying jobs, and we'd like to see them here. But it's a national issue, not just a local issue.
Absolutely. Which, thank you for your leadership, Senator, on the blue economy work here. That was, like I said, one of the reasons why we picked Broward to try to pilot this initial one. But again, the intent is how do we scale that across the entire state? Because Florida has the potential, not in producing necessarily submarines and aircraft carriers, but in producing a lot of these smaller vessels or other auxiliary and support vessels that, quite frankly, they don't get credit. But as Isabel saw the sort of video we did, the victory in the Pacific in World War II, the carriers and submarines and cruisers, destroyers got all the credit, but it was the almost 3,000 logistics and auxiliary ships behind them that made those battles and victories possible. And it's in that kind of support that Florida is well positioned to provide that kind of capability for the nation.
All right, Captain, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation and your
Thank you.
conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And Isabel, let's make sure we keep this as at the forefront of.
Absolutely. We can even do we can actually just do a special meeting just on this topic. Captain Miller come back after everybody gets back from their break and all that.
Sort that out.
Move on to H. Isabel, you have
Yes,
membership dues.
thank you, council members. If you turn to item 3H, this is, as you know, the time of year that we certify our dues. to the counties. It's required, for us to do this, and we had an initial conversation in May. And at that time, I was directed to go ahead. This is the last year of the schedule increases for the council. That would bring us up to the point, 30 cents per capita. Again, I remind everyone that for 28 years, we did not ever increase our dues for 17 cents. And so the county funding is really important for us. And I would appreciate your support for this. I will also say, we're very frugal here. I know I was joking around it. We're the arugula, you wouldn't know it, but there's the little snacks. But we actually are very frugal here, and we'd like to continue moving forward. So I would appreciate your support. Council members.
Any questions?
Does this require a motion?
It does, it requires to be adopted.
Move adoption.
Second, there's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. See, we do recommendations.
Thank you very much.
Membership dues.
We will be sending the due, and I will point out the second page of your item, again, highlight that we're like among the lowest in rate by rate in the councils. Treasure Coast is 43 cents per capita. That's a comparison, but they have a smaller population base. And we will be sending this information to the counties along with our recap that we do every year of the successes and the value added. As you will hear in a little bit from Senior Loan Officer Jeff Tart. An example of that is that we just secured $1 million more for the incinerator we have here on Park Road. So just that one thing is bringing in more resources to Broward County than what's expected in doing. So I thank you so much for your support, and then we can go now to conference update by Randy DeShazo. Marching along well, we should be out early.
Right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me speak this morning. And thank you. And so with respect to Blue Tech, we're gonna go ahead and talk about that a little bit about where we stand with the conference. Right now, we've had a lot of discussions with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, along with our outside expert, Cato Fallon from the Marine Research Hub, on who we should invite and what our focuses should be. And so there are a lot of things to discuss here, but I'll try to keep things concise and to the point. There's also a key question here that I want to get your feedback on and direction. So that will continue to shape this agenda a little bit more, but the goal now is to start getting invitations out, to start inviting speakers and formalizing who will be our keynotes at various places or other events. All right.
This is agenda 4A, council members. You want to look at the draft agenda?
Yes. And so the key problem here was optimizing the mix of geographic diversity, political diversity, and balance of tech specializations. There's some 13 or so specializations as we've been able to cut them down to slices. And then, of course, the different aspects of business development. Where can local governments intervene is actually going to be helpful in developing the blue tech industry in our region. So what you'll see in the following pages here are just the working draft and our speakers. As you'll note, flipping through this, most of our panels have way too many speakers for that.
It's just a laundry list of
We just
choices.
need to make it a 2-day conference.
That's it. I'm sure y'all would be thrilled. We can arrange that if you like.
So hopefully we'll see what sticks when we reach out to our potential participants. One of the key questions that I wanted to bring to your attention was that keynote that we're hoping to bring on board is Allison Barlow. She is the executive director of the St. Pete Innovation Hub. And with that, it sets a model for what we hope to replicate here.
Maybe explain what the Innovation Hub does. Okay, thank you.
So the Innovation Hub is a center at associated in geographic proximity with the University of South Florida and St. Petersburg.
And it is essentially an incubator and an accelerator to help develop firms that are really focused on the blue economy. And also all kinds of marine research, and they bring all of that together under one ceiling. And to help the tech hub to come together with building that particular specialization is that they got the city of St. Petersburg to make changes to zoning code so that blue tech industries are as of right use, allowed use within their this particular zone. So they extended what their employment sector would actually include, and so lowering some barriers to getting permitting done. And there's some other features of it that we can talk about at the conference. But the key question here is that Ms. Barlow is the director of the center, again, like helping to work with companies directly on commercialization and getting out to market. And then there's the land use piece. Originally, I was hoping she might be able to also address the land use piece. So it's a good transition because those are the two halves of the conferences. One, how do local governments get everybody to the table and moving up? Then what are the actual things that local governments need to do to facilitate that? And so what Allison does, as I understand it, we've been playing a lot of phone tag, is that she's central to building the innovation hub. She's working most closely with businesses and perhaps has less to contribute on that discussion on the land use piece. Now, again, I need to talk to her a little bit more about this, but the question that I'm seeking direction on here is whether or not she's still the right person to speak. As a keynote, she's very well known and regarded in her field, and I think would be a strong positive, but she may not be able to answer the land use questions that may come up during one of the panels where we talk about land use and regulation. I could reach out again to the city of St. Petersburg, but I've not had much success in finding somebody who's on staff that can directly address that question. So that's essentially my question. Happy to take any other questions.
Any questions, members? Just
I looked at this quickly, on panel 3. Regulatory pathways, permitting local government tools. Where there's not yet a bunch of speakers there.
We have a bunch of names in mind.
Okay, I was wondering on one of these places, considering the reception that Captain Miller received today.
Yeah.
I think we should try and find a spot for him.
Yes.
On the, would panel 3 be, in your opinion, be appropriate, or do you know?
But he has so many different areas, I'm not quite sure where to put them.
Panel 4, you already had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 34 speakers for the.
Right.
So which way
it's a timing decision.
Great, but again, if there is a place where Captain would fit in, they should be.
Well, no, it's just the menu of options.
He wanted to have it.
Yeah. No,
Right.
never does.
Yeah, everybody would speak for 30 seconds.
Well, we're gonna do a big pin the tail on the donkey,
Right.
just put the names and just see where the pin hits.
actually, Senator Geller, that's a great idea, and I think
This one might be
I
good,
guess
the
pick
regulatory-
pick your area.
Pick your poison.
Pick your poison where you're gonna speak, so.
I just need to see the list.
Yeah, you'll see the list and I think that's.
We'll sort it out.
One of you give them a copy of the agenda.
It's a great idea. If you can make it, it'll be great for you to be there and we will appreciate that. So
We'll have you back before then.
any other questions, members?
Hopefully I'll be back with 2 new grants and we'll be doing.
We hope you are.
Well,
I thank you.
Great, I think we just have so, right now, the problem is that finding speakers is narrowing them down.
Right.
And narrowing down.
That's a good problem to have.
That doesn't offend anybody.
That's a good problem to have. Thank you, Randy. Great job.
Thank you.
It always does a good job. Okay,
I remember, Isabel, the membership committee.
so,
Meeting.
as y'all recall, because you were all here. The membership committee met on June 15th. The membership committee consists of Chair Senator Garcia, Councilmember Albritton, Councilmember Kaplan, Senator Geller, and Councilmember Maria Rodriguez are volunteers for everything. Thank you very much. And so you remember, we had a discussion about what direction you might want to go. I promised at that time that I would create a sheet that would and it's attached to your agenda item. This is the sheet that shows how many members we have designated. There's 19 members, but we only have 14 right now that are filled. Still doesn't mean participating necessarily, but filled. And then we talked about various options about how to increase participation, that we wanted to be cultivating new potential council members, introducing them to the board and building greater, more broad support. The memos, pretty much summarizes all that. And I want to thank Councilmember Kaplan, who gave it a look as well to make sure it was as complete as possible. So again, the goals are to make sure that we have strong and balanced representation of all 3 counties. And we discussed various ideas of how maybe increase participation. One of the ideas that I thought was well received was by Councilmember Rodriguez and Councilmember Albritton about increasing municipal membership. And so I think the board was, liked that idea. But at that time, remember, Chair, we discussed that if you increase only the municipal appointments, but not the county appointments, then you have a situation where the counties and the municipals have the same number of votes. Just an observation. But the counties are the only ones that have responsibility under our funding model for paying dues. So what I offered to do, and I did, was create the sheet that tells you also the quorum. So that's one of the things that I'm cautious about, because you can see sometimes it's challenging to get a quorum in the room. The more members you have, the higher your quorum requirement. So just a consideration. And I think that the committee really felt strongly that maybe it's not that our membership model is broken or inadequate, but simply that we have to make sure that everyone is participating. So this is an information item for you. Certainly take your direction what you want to do. But we can have another committee meeting of the committee if you want to discuss it there, or we just leave these as they are now.
No, but didn't we come up with some recommendations though to increase, but
We did. We had recommendations to that the county commission, we were looking about giving standing presentations to the board. That was something that y'all discussed. I think, imagine after budget season.
Senator Garcia.
Senator Garcia did, yes. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and modify this item for those recommendations. I did mention that in here, but it's not as, it's not clearly delineated. So yes, we discussed the Regional Planning Council coming, giving updates to Municipal League of Cities at their board meetings, the county commissions upon invitation of the board members, also periodic updates so that people are more aware of what the council is doing. Also, we discussed perhaps, civic associations if needed, or not if needed, but as appropriate, prior to moving forwards. Trying to think what else we had.
so there's no action to be taken on this item?
No, it's an information item. I will let you know that I have been in communication with Councilmember Corradino. Councilmember Corradino is mayor, of course, of Pinecrest, longtime member. He's term limited. A new elected official has already been elected to take his spot, but doesn't take office until November. Councilmember Corradino has already spoken with Richard Cooper about us finding a replacement for him since he's term limited. And so that's already underway. I know that big conversations with Mr. Right, there's been some information. And I believe there's a very good candidate. So there is no action item unless you all want to direct at some point something.
Question. So, could you prepare, we were just not discussing anything, because I said it was long, but,
What a quick catch.
we were, talking generally, openly about, at the last meeting, Senator Garcia really had an important point, which was not only the SFRPC, but all, our, RTA, all of the region. We rarely get reports of these at the at least in Broward County Commission, and it would probably be a good idea. Could you be
Yes.
responsible for preparing a brief 1 or 2 pager that we could, once a month, every other meeting, every third meeting, something like that, distribute to our fellow county commissioners, as well as give a brief. We would do it under non-agenda at the end where the
Okay.
commissioners get talk. I don't know how Dave does.
We'll do this, we do this.
Yeah, okay, but I think that Senator Garcia had a good idea, and it'd be a lot easier for each of us if you could just prepare something for
We'd
us.
be happy to do
Both
that.
a handout and a summary.
Absolutely, and I'll also add, that if you recall that out of the SEDS committee that you chaired, there's also, we already had the conversation of going to the Alliance and to the Beacon Council
Right.
to give presentations. Randy's work, that he had done some analysis that was of interest to them.
Also a very good idea, but if the question is getting commissioners from Dave, which is primarily the issue, having the handouts and having Senator Garcia discuss these would certainly be.
Absolutely, and this is
Right.
also part
And
of,
we have to recognize it's harder, it's easier to get commissioners from Broward to come to a meeting here in Broward, right?
But still,
Than it is.
we'll figure it out.
yes, but there's technology now that allows people to come in virtually. It's not as good as being in person, obviously, but it's not before folks from Monroe County had to drive here every month from Key West and, up there. So this document, in fact, is gonna give you some of that, but we'll make it more easily usable, like shorter, to highlight certain things. So, and thank you very much for that.
Well, that's a thank you. I want to thank the committee members for the great conversation that we had, and Isabel, thank you for always leading the charge
Thank you.
for us. Now let's move on to C, the revolving loan fund status report.
Some exciting news from Mr. Jeff Hardy. I always tease him that his parents was a Miss Bang called Sweetheart.
Perfect. Good morning, council members. I'm Jeff Tart, the senior loan officer of the revolving loan fund programs. I'd like to share a few brief highlights for the month of July. On June 12th, Broward County's Office of Economic and Small Business Development hosted their annual Beyond Broward and Beyond Conference, which donated a table to the SFRPC to help promote our RLF program. So I'd just like to thank the Broward County's Office of Economic and Small Business.
Yeah, I'm able.
For a complimentary
Very
table. Separately, we connected with Florida Women's Business Center. It's based in Broward and Palm Beach County. And the organization serves over 800 clients annually and offers training, mentoring, and support to entrepreneurs to help prepare and identify sources of funding options such as all. In regards to the CARES Act RLF program, loan administration closed 39 loans since inception, totaling 9.6 million, and saved or created over 350 jobs. The program has approximately $590,000 to lend to new borrowers. Additionally, at the most recent RLF board meeting, which we held in May, the RLF board approved and closed 2 new loans. $100,000 to a loan request to Zamaka Coffee Traders in Tamarack. That's an existing minority business owner for coffee roasting retail expansion, and $100,000 loan request to Encompass, South Florida, a personal injury and estate planning firm to expand in Fort Lauderdale. In regards to the traditional RLF, the program currently provided $5.2 million to 29 businesses and has approximately 1.8 available to lend to new borrowers. In regards to our EPA brownfields cleanup revolving loan fund program, this month I included in your board packages a project update on Claude Pepper Park in North Miami, Florida. This project was the result of the SFRPC committing $3.5 million in EPA funding to assess and remediate that property in the city of North Miami. The project site includes 15 acres of renovated park facilities and 14 acres of new residential development, of which 50% will be affordable housing. Good news, on June 25th, as Isabel mentioned, the Environmental Protection Agency announced a new $1 million RLF supplemental grant being awarded to the SFRPC to continue its successful efforts addressing contaminated properties. The funds will be used to remediate the former Hollywood incinerator ash dump and will be combined with the 2 million in previously awarded funds back in 2025. The project is anticipated to commence in 2026. And just quickly in regards to our affordable housing program in Broward County, we're in the process of closing Sunset Strip. It's a new 29-unit single-family workforce housing in the city of Sunrise. To date, there's a reservation list of over 65 interested in home buyers already that reside in Sunrise. And our second project nearing completion has been already Builders Coalition. That's an infill lot development project in Fort Lauderdale of 4 affordable single-family homes to first-time minority home buyers. Finally, on June 13th, we participated in Riviera Beach CRA annual housing fair to promote the citywide affordable housing projects, of which we have our Renaissance Riviera Beach project occurring. Thank you again for all your support.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions? Anyone? Thank you, Jeff.
Alrighty,
Are we gonna talk about the CARES Act?
we did.
We did.
I don't know if Sam, is there anything that you want to add to our left audition do and read the council?
I do. Want to do it now? Right, please. Where are
You
we?
can do it now, actually, it's time. You can skip over me and let's go to legal counsel.
Just really quickly, Mr. Chair and members of the council. There's litigation still pending in the Dawson matter. We've heard about this for a number of weeks and months.
And years.
Years.
And years. I'm getting to the years. Just as an FYI, there's a new judge assigned to the matter. And the
How many
judge,
judges is this?
there have been several judges, several of them were the same judges who recused themselves twice. And I
And they
realized
got
they were,
appointed twice.
and yes, because the computer made those decisions.
Right.
Just as an FYI, and it's important because on the 7th of August, there's a hearing before Judge Davis, Judge Hunter Davis. It's essentially referred to as a case management conference, but at the same time, the council, this council's motion, which essentially is excuse me one sec. It's the, forgive me for the legal verbiage, it's the SFRPC's cross defendants motion, that will be us. Motion to strike and or to dismiss the amended cross claim and for an order of sanctions. Sanctions is a key word. I will not discuss that publicly during today's discussion.
It sounds important.
Sanctions is a process that's allowed into the rules of procedure, which is determined by judges when they look at matters such as this or otherwise. Anyway, there's a motion pending by the council's outside counsel, special counsel, Chris Stearns, regarding the amended and the re-amended documents that have been filed by the plaintiff in this case. The council has a current loan, which is current, correct, Mr. Tart?
Yes.
On property which it has a security interest, on property which no longer has a security interest, there's litigation pending, and the council, because of the nature of the relationship, appears to still be part of that discussion. That's a nice way of saying that we're in the litigation. Hopefully, the judge will see through the motion and will grant it accordingly. We support that. Quite frankly, we'll brief you at the next meeting. It's about the most I would like to say publicly. I'm happy to address these issues separately. There is, however, a motion for sanctions in this case. That's important for the record.
That could be worse than a yellow card.
It's not a red card, though.
Not a red card.
Right.
It's in between. Thank you all.
It's an orange card.
All right, is there any questions? All right, perfect. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Chair.
You want to go back to you, Isabel? You want to get something down?
Can't say that I have a lot to report today. We are looking for some staff. Because one of our staff members went to work for Broward County. We're very happy for her, particularly since we'll be able to keep working with her. Marion Knowles, who's very, very good. She went to work with Dr. Harado. Can't remember. But we are looking for a regional planner, a senior planner, and also we're going to be looking for a finance specialist to work with Leo, because Guillermo has let us know that he plans to retire and go have fun in the coming months. With his daughter, his granddaughter, he's like, I don't need ugly people anymore. So he's ready to go. So we'll be looking for someone to work with him. He's a very important member of staff, great worker.
Thank you, Isabel.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm pretty good there.
Let's need a council member report. Council members.
Just a quick discussion, very quick on Amendment 3.
Yes.
Obviously, we as a council can take no position on that under Florida law, which is what we will do individually. We have the ability to do so. I have drafted multiple documents. I may have sent some of them to some of you.
Good.
One was an analysis, again, showing that in Broward County, where only less than 1% of the county is where the sheriff has primary jurisdiction, because we're over 99% incorporated. We're still spending between 50 and 54% of our budget on public safety. And the public absolutely has no idea. I've asked, 15 or 20,000 people over the last 15 years. I've said, what percentage of the budget do you think goes for public safety? What do you think goes for operations and administration? Public consistently thinks we're spending between a third and 40% on administration, when the real number in almost every city is around 8%. And public safety, they think we're spending between a quarter and a third, and in most cities, it's between 55 and 65%. And also, I've shown that the analysis that the CFO and Golia did
Right.
in reference to our numbers was fictitious, because every local government agency in the state uses the University of Florida Bureau of Economic and Business Research for the population, except that's not the number he used. The gold standard on inflation is U.S. Department of Commerce Bureau of Economic Statistics for the metro statistical area for Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. Again, not the source that he used. And we have we're big $10 billion a year budget. We have multiple things we measure. And one is something called the budget book. One is the ACFR. I forget what it stands for. Accumulated financial something. What I don't even remember. It's the ACFR. But ACFR is always 5% higher than budget book, because they measure different things. He compared budget book to 5 years later ACFR. You can compare ACFR to ACFR or budget book to budget book, but you can't compare budget book to ACFR. So I have all of that data. If anybody would like copies of it, I am happy from my law office to send it to you. Not using government resources.
What, for everyone, for those that don't know, what happened with the CFO?
Nothing, yeah.
No, he did a presentation based on what? What was he talking about?
He did a press conference and said, Broward County has overspent their budget by hundreds of millions of dollars. He set forth a formula. The formula was population growth plus inflation plus 15% based on issues like all the unfunded mandates, adding in the other things we're spending now for sustainability.
It was a press conference.
And he said it's hundreds of millions of dollars. And I showed that if he used accurate numbers, the numbers that every government entity in Florida uses, we met his formula. We weren't hundreds of millions over. We met his formula. It's just he used numbers that when he was asked what his source was, he refused to name his sources. So, I can only speak for Broward, but I'm sure he did the same in Dade and Palm Beach. And I gave the information to the county administrator, who you and I served with in the Senate, who is now the county administrator at Palm Beach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's gone to war with it,
Yeah.
just saying these numbers are made up. So it's important that the public understand to counteract what CFO and Golia did, that if you use accurate numbers, we met it. The fact that the firefighters have come out against it, the Florida Association of Police Chiefs came out against it.
Sure.
I am told two sheriffs have come out. The Sheriff's Association has not yet taken a position, but we think that they are going to come out against it. I have been told that but have not verified that the FOP will come out against it. I have been told, but have not yet verified that IUPA and PBA are hopelessly confused and we have no idea what they're going to do. But if one of the three police unions, nobody's ever heard of IUPA. So the two that people are familiar with are PBA and FOP. If one comes out against it and the other stays out of it, police, firefighters, sheriffs, and fire chiefs come out against it, I think it fails.
Well, I think you said the tax watch.
Tax,
Yeah,
tax watch.
tax watch is against
Did
it.
they take a formal position or did they wrote a paper
They
where
wrote
they
a
had
paper
problems?
that there were identified issues,
Yeah.
in the amendment.
And there's no, I'm sorry. Councilman.
Two things real quick. The Kristen Jacobs Aquatic Zone finally has a management plan.
Yay! Oh, bravo.
Yeah. And I think that's something this group has worked on for almost 8 years now.
I know.
It took 8 years, took us a while to get it passed. And then it took us 8 years to get a management plan for the DEP and FWC to see eye to eye. And so that's good.
Congratulations, your
Yeah.
leadership on that.
It's a good thing. Second, on Wednesday, I hope I don't jinx this,
Oh, yes.
but you should see the creation of the Broward County Solid Waste Authority be established. We have to get an 80% threshold with all the municipalities. We're at 79.2%. So we have one town to be voting us in on Wednesday.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
The Southwest Ranches in the house.
Southwest Ranches was part of it a long time. We have Davey has to, it's Davey's turn and then we got.
It says.
And then, Chair, so I spoke already with Councilmember First, so, we're just waiting for the 80% threshold to be reached, and then we're gonna be working with Broward County, reconvening our little work group with Miami-Dade County and Broward
Yeah.
to move forward. This has been sort of a top priority item. But I am in communication already with Miami-Dade, very helpful.
There is an important caveat to that.
There.
Okay, well, the caveat, which he can explain much better than I can, is this is all based on the assumptions that we're going to be able to negotiate very low long-term contracts with the companies that own that will be doing the recycling and that own the solid waste
Yeah,
disposal.
our consultants gave us numbers where we thought, here's the threshold. We're pretty comfortable we can meet all of them.
That's also
So subject to the pricing to get right.
keeping our fingers crossed for you all.
Yeah.
Anything else, members?
We'll be going to St. Pete next week to represent our planning council at the Florida Regional Councils Association. As always.
Yeah, then we need to get 2 more members to come to be part of Rick. Councilmember Kaplan has been doing the heavy lifting on that for many years.
Well, I just want to say, as we were discussing earlier on the Amendment 3, if anybody would like copies of any of the analyses that I've done, and I'm finalizing my letter to the editor, I got it down to 917 words. I was told I can only do 750, so editing it further, but the original 1100 word was really the best. Most detailed, but too long. But if anybody wants any of these, just contact me and I will send them. Please do me a favor, send me an email.
Yeah.
And I will respond to these.
Send it to Isabel, so she can.
Yeah, what would be super helpful for me,
Yeah.
what would be helpful for me is to have something that I can leave on my neighbor's house that is succinct and explains it.
You expect me to be succinct?
Yes.
You not know him?
I know, but you know, he can do it. I know.
Would be
He can do it. He can be succinct.
I don't.
In other words, I think we, like, for me.
Lawyers charged by the word.
I'm willing to walk to people's houses and put something on a door, but I haven't seen yet anything that just makes it very clear why voting for this is bad for you. Because it's a shift, because you're just gonna get feed to death, because there is no services ferry. You know, that, what are the things that are as important that you may lose? So, I don't know, I think that's really, like I said, I'm happy to go and walk, but we need something to leave on the board.
I have looked at data in my analysis and maybe somebody more skilled at writing briefly than I am.
Yeah.
One page
If you don't get that to me, I have some folks that can, because that's not me, but I got some folks that can get that done and maybe we can get something.
Okay.
out.
You know, we need
Sam-
something you can put on.
Sam, can I send it to other council members or should I send it to Isabel? Isabel, can.
Just for reference, the hearing on various motions and such is July 29th in Circuit Court in Tallahassee.
Yeah, but of course, it doesn't matter because when the clear, as a lawyer, beyond and to the exclusion of any reasonable doubt, the title is misleading. However, once the circuit court judge rules that, the attorney general of the state can rewrite the title and he'll make it even worse.
Thank you, we'll get that, it is important for us to have this conversation, look, I for one think, I've always been of the mindset that the money deserves to be in people's pocket, not so much in government. However, you know, one thing is to politicize political, and one thing is to govern. One thing is to campaign, one thing is to govern. It's two different things. And I saw it in the municipality in my district. They campaigned on eliminating property taxes for seniors, and now the conversation has shifted. Now they're saying, "Oh, wait a minute! So they did a tax rebate. It wasn't an elimination of taxes for seniors. It did a rebate." And now, when this proposal is coming forward, some of the members are like, council are putting a lot of pressure, saying, "This is, you guys can't do this to us." So the reality is that I think it's important for the public to understand what it is and what we're losing. And
Yes.
I really do fault the Florida legislature for not taking on property insurance as opposed to take on this issue. Because property insurances was really killing us a lot more than the taxes. Can us as elected officials do a better job at administrating dollars? Absolutely, we can. However, property taxes is what's stifling people's ability to continue to live here in Miami-Dade County. Property insurance. And thank you for that. Property insurance is the one that's an issue that really needs to be addressed, and our legislature has not done a good job at that, so.
In my letter to the editor, I make that exact point, but I have facts. Depending on which source you look at, Florida is either somewhere between 45th and 49th lowest overall tax burden in the country. Anybody who says we are overtaxed in Florida objectively is lying. Our property insurance rates, depending on which source you use, any source you use, we're the highest. No, we are approximately a third higher than any other state. Some states would have Nebraska, some states would have Oklahoma behind us, some would have it 8-5, some would have it 6-4, but under any source you look at, we are extremely low overall tax and by far the highest in property insurance. You called it exactly correctly.
So, thank you for that, and we hopefully we can get them to do that, but yeah, I think it's important to have that information, get that to us through Isabel, and I'll work with some of my folks to try to put something together that you can distribute. And
People don't know. They don't know what they don't know.
All right, Councilmember Lincoln, are you there? You have anything to report? Anything you're working on?
Hey everyone, no, like you, we are just trying to get the right information out to the public. We're going to be doing workshops in October up and down the Keys on what property tax reform will look like in each individual area so that the voters are fully educated and informed when they go to vote.
Yeah, I think it's important. It's making sure that the voters are educated. That's all we can do. And I think when they see what it is, they can make an informed decision. I know I'm gonna vote, so it's important for them to do that, so. Okay, I don't know, it's been good. All right. You're good. Hey, I'm good. I'm piggyback on the other.
So, I suppose.
With the ex officio members, we have that Quinn.
He's there.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Nothing to report tonight.
And then we have Miss Viviana here.
Viviana, welcome.
Thank you. Nothing to report from the evening. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Armando. For water
He
management.
was here for a long time. He may have had to leave.
Nothing to report from South Florida Water Management.
Hey, Julio. Nothing to report. Okay, so we're now at the end. What else do we have, Isabel?
I think that's it, Chair. So, at the back, we'll see the upcoming meetings. We are scheduled right now, except for our volunteer committee, for a summer break in August. That's always depends on Miami-Dade County. If you say anything controversial on plans. So look at you guys are laughing. And then, we have tried to avoid any upcoming religious holidays. So this September, our meeting is scheduled for September 28th instead of September 21st, which I believe is, well, I know it's a religious holiday. So, and that's it. October, again, will depend on what Miami-Dade County sends or does not send us in September. And then we have our conference October 30th. So we will work now to finalize the RFP, get it published this week, and work with your schedules to set up the time for the review committee. Thank you again for your service, and I hope you all enjoy your break. I know Senator Geller, I believe you're leaving town on vacation now, aren't you?
Tomorrow morning,
Tomorrow morning, God bless
for a
you.
week, and then I'll be back for a week, then go into Toronto if the air quality permits it.
That's right. Maine is a beautiful, I love Maine, especially this time of year is just amazing up there. Anything else, members? With that, Councilmember Alberti moves you rise. Thank you.
Thank you.